The Egyptian economy is undergoing a transformation. The tremors are being felt far and wide. At the heart of this shift is the country's currency, the Egyptian pound. For years it has been pegged to the US dollar, but recently the once stable exchange rate has experienced not one, but two major shocks. The dollar is falling against the pound, and the implications are significant for Egypt's economic future. This dramatic change can be traced back to a pivotal decision made by the Central Bank of Egypt. In a move designed to boost the economy, the bank decided to float the pound. This essentially meant that the value of the pound would be determined by market forces rather than being fixed to the dollar. The immediate effect was a devaluation of the pound, making imports more expensive. However, this was just the beginning of the story. The decision to float the pound was a gamble. It was a move aimed at unlocking much-needed foreign investment. The hope was that a weaker pound would make Egyptian exports more competitive. This in turn would stimulate economic growth. The initial devaluation did indeed make Egyptian goods and services cheaper for foreign buyers. However, the float also brought about a surge in inflation. The cost of imported goods, particularly essential items, rose sharply. This put a strain on Egyptian households, particularly those already struggling to make ends meet. The government was forced to implement austerity measures, such as cutting fuel subsidies, to manage the economic fallout. One of the most unexpected consequences of the float was a significant increase in remittances. Egyptians living and working abroad suddenly found that their money could go much further back home. With the pound weaker, they could send the same amount of dollars or euros and their families would receive significantly more in Egyptian pounds. This surge in remittances provided a much-needed boost to the Egyptian economy. Families who received money from abroad were able to spend more, injecting cash into the local market. This increased demand for goods and services, providing a lifeline for many businesses struggling in the wake of the float. Section 4. Electronic payments plummet, a second blow to the dollar. The second blow to the dollar came from an unexpected quarter electronic payments. With the Egyptian pound weaker, many Egyptians became wary of using their credit and debit cards for international transactions. This was because these transactions were typically processed in US dollars, making them more expensive. As a result, there was a sharp decline in dollar-based electronic payments. Egyptians opted for alternative methods, such as using local debit cards or carrying cash when traveling abroad. This shift away from dollar-based transactions further reduced demand for the US currency, putting additional downward pressure on its value against the Egyptian pound. Section 5. The future of the Egyptian pound. A nation holds its breath. The future of the Egyptian pound remains uncertain. The country is walking a tightrope, balancing the need for economic reform with the potential for social unrest. The success of the float will depend on a number of factors, including the government's ability to attract foreign investment, control inflation, and create jobs. The surge in remittances and the decline in dollar-based electronic payments have provided some breathing room. However, these are short-term gains. The real test will be whether the Egyptian economy can achieve sustainable growth in the long run. The world is watching closely as this pivotal moment in Egypt's economic history unfolds.